Welcome back to Central Valley Talk, our international talk show where we talk to authors from all over the world about their books, about their life experience, how they got to where they are today, things like that. We're having a guest today, a special guest, Jayme Severance. He has a little voice issue because of some things that happened to him in his life that have left him in this condition. But I can understand him very well. Welcome, Jayme. And by the way, here's for our viewers. Here's a cover of the book, the Hayden Diary, and it kind of chronicles some things Jayme went through. So without much further ado, I'm just going to ask Jayme, tell me about the book.
All right, I'm going to ask you a favor. Please bear with me. I'm using notes for this interview because I'm really nervous. And when I'm nervous, I tend to forget what I'm talking about almost instantly. This is due to my short-term memory loss, which is caused by severe brain damage, which is then layered on top of a voice condition from the trauma of a tracheostomy. A tracheostomy is a procedure in which medical professionals make an incision in your airway and insert plastic tubing to create an alternate way to breathe. Unfortunately, these procedures can have complications, which is why I sound the way I sound. It sounds way worse on the screen than it does in person. Trust me.
Yeah. Well,
but with that said, I needed a tracheostomy because I was involved in a very serious and near-fatal motor vehicle accident, and that's the subject of my book. See, the plot of my book is as follows. At 17, I survived a life-threatening car accident that resulted in a traumatic brain injury, a TBI, during the senior year of high school in the fall of 2006. After a month-long coma, I awakened in a body that was completely alien to me. I couldn't walk, talk, swallow, remember. The list goes on. This is the epitome of a rude awakening. Meanwhile, it didn't mean time stopped just because I was in a car crash. Time, it waits for no one. And every day I spent in rehab was another day I was absent from what should have been my final year of high school with my classmates. And given that I had a girlfriend at the time of the accident, I made it a point to recover fast enough to at least attend prom with her by my side before the academic calendar ended. This creates tension, and it's often said that conflict makes a good fiction book. But the Hayden Diary is stranger than fiction. It's non-fiction. And this is more than just a tagline, because the book is written as if it were a novel. These aren't reflections of years gone by. I tell the story virtually as it happened. See, I started writing the Hayden Diary before I turned 18, and I finished it at 19. So I was able to recount the rehab experience with stunning accuracy, detailing how the accident and subsequent rehabilitation transformed me. With that said, because the book takes place when I was 17, it provides my target audience, who are families, teens, young adults, caregivers, healthcare pros, and educators. It provides them all with a relevant but underrepresented perspective in literature, and that is of a 17-year-old TBI patient and their experience emerging from the coma in real time. After all, memoirs, they tend to be written many years, many years after the event that incited them. They're not usually written by teens in inpatient rehab. The cool thing about the book is that after I got hurt, it took me about 1 to 2 years for my brain to mostly figure out what was appropriate and what's not. And research from the National Library of Medicine will bear that out. Now, being that the Hayden Diary was started and finished within this time frame of 1 to 2 years, it gives readers the unique opportunity to revive, rehabilitate, recover, and become a young adult with me in real time. Readers get to actually see my brain and cognition adjust at the same time the writing does as they progress through the different parts of the book. This is demonstrated through the raw and unpolished nature of the book. For example, because I wrote it when I was 18, I published my book largely unedited. Conventional wisdom would say doing this is a mistake, but I did it to preserve the authenticity of my thoughts at the time and my neurological development post-injury. For example, there are many curse words in the book, at least 200. Profane language isn't placed there to pander to my target audience. It's literally how I talk at the time of my brain injury. My decision to publish my book basically unedited with all the squares included portrays the reality of what it's like to have a brain injury that impacts social functioning. After all, publishing a book is largely a social behavior anyway, and when something is published, it's usually for others to read. The Hayden Diary is more than a book I wrote, though. It's an actual diary that's divided into 5 parts. But each part corresponds to one of the 5 conscious months I spent in inpatient rehab. This takes up 475 pages on the Amazon Kindle. Kindle pages closely approximate the dimensions of a printed page anyway. This means my book is an ebook. It is not available in print, but it is everywhere where books are sold online.
Nice. Very good. Wow. Do you have any anecdotes you'd like to share?
Alright, there's this one time. Alright, so one anecdote from the book, which is timely since this interview is literally 2 days before Valentine's Day, is that part 2 of the book takes place 1 day before Valentine's Day, 2007. During that time, I gave one of my favorite LNAs a cheap, part-printed song along with a box of chocolate because I felt as though we could joke around with each other, you know? And I was confident that this would be perceived as a gag gift because the LNA I gave it to was a man. Even though we still laugh about it to this day, it was inappropriate behavior as well as a reckless gesture given the intimate connotations of lingerie. Reckless behavior is part of a larger issue that impacts 30%. 30% of all TBI survivors. It's known as disinhibition or the lack of social restraint. It's part of the reason why my book is published unedited. It's part of the reason why TBI awareness is so important.
That's a great anecdote, by the way. Do you have any other anecdotes you'd like to share from the book?
Yeah, well, Alright, so another anecdote I have is that one of the characters featured in the book went on to break a world record at the summer 2012 London Paralympics.
Wow.
This person even has their own holiday here in New Hampshire every year on September 21st. It's funny because before they were discharged from the rehab center, they were discharged before me. We made a pinky promise to stay best friends forever. They later told me on a phone call when we were both discharged from rehab that they asked me not to forget them when I got famous because they knew I was writing a book at the time. So in a way, this is me acknowledging that promise.
Interesting. That's great. Hey, we're running out of time already, Jayme, but I just want to give you a chance. Is there anything else you'd like the readers to know?
I have a whole bunch if you don't mind.
Okay.
Alright, so I'm a known entity on Google. So if you Google my name, Jayme Severance, or my pen name, Jayme Lewis Severance, with or without quotation marks, you'll see the way Google prioritizes me and search results as well as my online presence. The most important thing is that if you Google my legal name, which is Jayme Severance, you'll see a LinkedIn article I wrote called Raising TBI Awareness Through Memoir, From Hospital Bed to Bookshelf. That article tells you how the Hayden Diary is marketed. And that's par for the course for LinkedIn articles. But in that article, I also educate the reader about my condition and having that additional context enables the reader to understand why I act the way I do in the book and how that informs my goal of driving TBI awareness. I also have a YouTube channel with a sophisticated AI-generated review of my book using Google's podcasting technology called Notebook LM. It's interesting to see which parts the AI found notable in my memoir because I didn't script the AI. It reviewed my book autonomously. This is the only video on my channel because I do writing, not video. You can find it if you type my pen name, Jayme Lewis Severance, or the Hayden Diary into YouTube. It is 28 minutes long. Lastly, I do have a website. Well, it's actually more of an author's profile at my publisher's website. But speaking of author profiles, my book is also on Goodreads, which is significant because only librarians can create Goodreads listings. You can find both if you Google me with or without quotation marks. You'll find what you're looking for eventually. The main takeaway here is just to Google me. Because if you do, you'll also see I have a link tree set up. A link tree is a landing page that branches out into several related web pages from a single place. There, readers can see relevant publications I'm featured in, regardless whether they can see relevant publications I'm featured in without having to click everywhere to hunt them down. Case in point, if you want to know more about me, my mission, or my book, just Google it. You'll find what you're looking for eventually. As they say, all roads lead to Rome.
Okay. Jayme, you're a delightful guest. For the viewers, Google Jayme Severance and Google Jayme Lewis Severance, right? Both. Thank you so much for coming on. You're invited back. You can come on my show anytime. You're a great guest, and I appreciate talking to you very much.
Thank you very much. Thanks for your time.
Yeah, and for our viewers, don't go anywhere because we're going to be back with another author right after this.